Hello, welcome to Toffee TV. It's right for you to do. It is the Premier League season does resume, believe it or not. And we thought we'd have a chat about how the season has gone so far, in the hope that it almost buries the ghost of it, and it's almost like a reset, and we start afresh on Boxing Day. That's what I'm hoping for. It's almost like a...
Put it to bed.
Put it to bed, and it's part 2 and 3 of the season still to come. The best bits of the season.
When does part 3 come?
Hopefully part 3 comes in about March and we're safe and we can just chill. It is back. We've just had the World Cup, which was obviously a tremendous football tournament, ended in the correct manner with Lionel Messi winning the World Cup, which was great.
You wanted Brazil to win it?
I did, but the way it's finished with Messi. Yeah. I did say Brazil or Messi to win it, though. That's, you know. And now we're into the stage where it's back to worrying about Everton. Hopefully with a bit less worry. But do you feel a bit refreshed that we had that break?
I feel massively refreshed,
yeah,
but I don't feel any more confident about Everton. I feel massively refreshed that having no football was fantastic. I mean that in the purest sense, just having not to worry about something for a few weeks and trying to recharge the batteries and hope that when Monday does come round, there is that little bit of optimism and that, you know, because it's it has felt like never ending and it wasn't like a pre-season, was it? It was like a proper distraction, the World Cup. Everything stopped. There was nothing. There was no real links, no real talk, no. You didn't have to fill the space with something because there was nothing else to talk about. It was a full-on distraction, and I really enjoyed that. It should last forever.
Do you think, because of the way the trauma of last season, because it was traumatic, wasn't it? We had the last few months, like I don't think neither of us slept very well at all, if any Evertonian did. Building up to that, obviously the Palace game, and we got the outcome we wanted and all that, and it was a great outcome of a shocking situation that, frankly, Everton should never have been in. And then the pre-season was shorter, like you said, and the World Cup was a distraction for a lot of things, and all of a sudden it was back on us quicker than it wasn't, and it hasn't gone the way we'd hoped. Do you think that everyone's feeling as bad because it's just felt almost like the 2 seasons have bled into one? So it's, even though we ended up staying up, it still feels like those feelings of worry comes back a lot earlier.
And of course, I think one of the issues was that Everton not getting off to a great start and then going on a little bit of an unbeaten run and feeling like we were sort of turning a corner and we were getting things in the right place to just be a solid team that was functional. We ain't going to like rip anything up. We're just going to be a functional team, and I think to see that erode in the final weeks and to lose, you know, Man United and Leicester and the 2 games at Bournemouth, and obviously there was a draw in there at Fulham. It just brought it all back that maybe we haven't turned the corner and all the problems are still there. And ultimately, the number one problem is we can't score goals, and it's the real worry and it's the real issue. And you can throw all the numbers you want and you can say Everton are only this many points away from being in the top half of the table or whatever else. Ultimately, if you can't score goals in the sport, in any sport, how are you going to pick up points? And that's the problem Everton have got, and Everton have got to solve that problem. Not in the summer. None of this dilly-dallying and saying, we'll get that done, we'll let this player go and we'll sort that out. This has to be addressed now. It can't be overstated how hugely important this has become, with everything going on at the football club, with the stadium, with the money that now surrounds football. It's ridiculous how many different people's careers are dependent on the next few months and getting it right. So
obviously the summer, you know, Richarlison had to go for whatever reason, without going over old ground, but the mistake was made with, and 5 games came and went, wasn't it, without putting any goals, because we put all of our eggs in one basket with Dom, didn't we, and it's come back and massively bit us, hasn't it, really?
When you look back to the summer, when we look back to transfer deadline day and what we brought in and what we thought, or where we thought we were improving, and of course we were all a little bit maybe more excited than we should have been about what we brought in, which sometimes you are. Well, you just want to hope for the best, don't you? And I think in retrospect, I just don't think it was good enough. The plan to me, the way we want to play is very evident now. It's defending deep, allowing teams almost to come onto us, and then you know, getting the blocks and getting Jordan Pickford, and we've sacrificed quite a few things, but that's because of the players we brought in, and they've been brought in for a reason. And I think defensively, you know, the numbers, it is that eye test. It is weird where you look at it and go, we're doing all right, and you look at the numbers and you're just like, we're not doing all right. we're actually bumbling along. And I think what happened in the last few weeks is it all caught up with us. It really did. You go back to the Southampton game and you watch that, and you it's one where you go, we've won 2-1, but for half an hour we got battered, and in isolation that's fine. But when you start pulling away from the one game and going, this is happening more and more, and you know, you can't get away from those numbers. You can't get away from the trends. They always catch up with you. You know, now we're now getting more evidence of this. The trends catch up with you. You know, we often speak to Andy, and he'll just like say, yeah, that's great. He said, but look at the numbers, that will catch up with you, and you dismiss it, and they do. And I think I honestly can't look past the 2 attacking signings we made, and without being, because I've said this a million times, and without being disrespectful to those 2 players as human beings, we bought a kid who couldn't score goals for a team who was relegated, and I can't get away from it. I just can't. And people might want to wear it, or people might want to say the kid's got time to grow. As a football club, we thought it was a good idea to bring a kid in who was relegated and didn't score goals for a team that couldn't score goals. And that to me is a massive alarm bell. And the other person we brought in Mopai, is a player that Brighton couldn't wait to get rid of because he couldn't score goals. And we brought him in to score goals. And he is nothing like the fella he has to replace on a daily basis, or on a weekly basis, sorry. And those 2 things are, listen, I'm not sitting here saying we should sack Kevin Felwell or Frank Lampard or anyone, but those 2 signings were massive. There was a rush of blood there somewhere. Somebody made a decision that, it's dead easy to say in hindsight, I will say that, because in the midst of the summer, when there was a panic, I think, you know, when Richarlison went, and where was the money going to come from? There was a panic, and maybe it was people were offered, and they were offered at the right prices, or the right price up front. And by the way, that should never be used as an excuse. I've heard that. Oh, we've paid nothing for McNeil up front. No, we will have to pay it. You buy a telly and you pay it in instalments, you're still going to have to pay the full price for that telly. And I just think they got that massively wrong. And that's nothing personal. That's nothing about those 2 footballers. To me, this is a symptom of where we are. And it's been happening for way before Frank Lampard and way before Kevin Felwell. Everton have got this horrendous trend of buying footballers who can't score goals, when the number one thing is to score goals. And what we've done in the last couple of years is cut the goals out the team. Sometimes it was forced on us. Sometimes, people wanted to move. Sometimes it was bad decisions. Sometimes it was other things. But we continually buy players who can't score goals. And until that trend changes, we're going to find ourselves where we are, because teams that can't score goals
finish near the bottom.
It's not rocket science.
No, there is definitely. We sat here and we all wanted another striker. We had Neil Maupay, we all wanted another striker. on deadline day, a strong and powerful striker who could have replaced Dom in a pattern. I think with Neil Maupay, Everton just don't play probably the way that he needs, really. And that's just the way it is. Him in a one, it's very difficult in the Premier League, his size. He's not lightning, so you can't even get him over the top. I think McNeil, I've said it before, as a squad player, fine. Was it really what we needed? Well, goal-wise, no. Not especially when your other two wingers aren't prolific goal scorers either, and your centre-forward's injured as well. So what Everton now have to do is come up with some solutions somehow in this next month of how we're going to get goals, and we have to come up with it virtually straight away. We've got we just let Salomon Rondon go. Fine, no issue with that. The manager had decided in September he wasn't good enough, or, for what we needed, and he's not really been part of any squads recently anyway, so he's gone. Fair play to him as well for going and wanting to go and play footy. And Everton, you can look at that and go, well, maybe they've got someone lined up and they've been happy to let him go out. Let's hope that that's what it is. It's done. But that's what we have to do. We've also got Tom Cannon in the squad at the moment, and the lad has scored in every game he's playing, so you've got to give him a bit of credit for that. That's all he can do, but we're going to put too much pressure on him. So we have to be ready once this window opens to jump, and that's the big thing, because like you've just said, over the last 2 or 3 years, we've just gone goals, out the door, and you end up one place, like you said.
What do we do with Tom Cannon? Because ultimately, this is a kid who, again, if you go and look at the numbers and go and look at who he is and what he's doing, he's nowhere near the level of the Premier League. But he's banging goals in the under-21s. Now, he's got a massive... That is a big gulf. But for me, I would plan both ways. I would get him in the... Because he's clearly... Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I don't know whether he's going to be available for Boxing Day. I just don't know if he's going to be available. So that leaves, Maupay. And obviously Tom Cannon was involved in the last 2 games at Bournemouth. So obviously he's in and around. So do we plan both ways and say, right, Wolves game, you're involved. Man City game, you're involved. Brighton, you're involved. Manchester United, you're involved. And then maybe we start. I mean, by the way, this is not. You don't do this and go, well, we'll wait to see who we bring unless you.
No.
For me, I think you have them involved, and you do try and get him on the pitch if you can, and you just see whether. Again, I go back on what I said before, almost on the data. There are moments where young footballers, just do something where it could last for a month. It could last for 2 months. It could be just one of those things where someone just explodes on the scene, and as quickly as they arrive, they leave and they're never heard of again. It's something that's happened all the way through football. But if you can take advantage of that moment, if you can take advantage of that youthful exuberance, that lack of knowledge on the player on the behalf of other clubs, I think that's something we're taking advantage of that Everton haven't maybe in years gone by. And I think in the last few years, which is something I think maybe 20, 30 maybe years, well certainly 20 at the beginning of 2000s, I think we did take advantage of this with the likes of Michael Ball, with the likes of Richard Dunn, with the likes of Danny Cadamati, Franny Jeffers.
Even Moyes gave Nick Chadwick a go for
and
about 6 weeks.
You know what?
And he was involved.
You know what? They get involved, they have a little go. And it might be something that they burn out quickly, but if you can get something out of them that isn't already in the team, I think this is something that's gone missing out of the game with all the data and with all the with the way we use it, with football, way football's done now with the high stakes. Is oftentimes players just don't get an opportunity to go out there. Like we said it last season, around the time of, I'd say, when we got beat by Brentford away, and we had the likes of Sims on the bench and Dobbin, and it was a case of just, do you know what? If there's 5 minutes left and you've got a sub, what harm will it do? You're 1-0 down, and I think for me, that's where I'd be. Listen, I'm not one of these people who says, when Ellis Sims gets sent on loan, what are you doing that for? Or Dobbin, what are you doing that for? I think they know the levels of these players a lot better than the average person. But I do think just over Christmas, before that window opens and before we settle on maybe send them on loan. You know, people like Sheffield Wednesday have been linked on him. I think you do try and get a little bit out of him because you just said there, Rondon's gone. There's an opportunity for a third choice striker, and suddenly he's second choice striker. If Dominic Calvert-Lewin is involved in boxing, I mean, we all pray he is. But if he's not, then there's an opportunity to give a young man a chance just to see if he can just grab hold or something.
Mate, Leeds have done it with Crysenio, Somerville. They've done it with Sam Goodall. They did it last year with Joe Gellert. Now, those three players might make it at the top end of the pitch in the Premier League, and Tom Cannon mightn't. But we won't know. And just right now, we haven't got any other options, have we? We've got Neil Maupay, and we've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who may or may not be fit, certainly for the Wolves game. Tom Cannon's in the best form of the three of them, for the simple reason that the lad's playing and scoring goals. You know, he's just played last week against Men in the Papa John's or whatever it was, scored again.
And he's confident.
Confidence there. I mean, his goal last week, he took it from the edge of the box and just bent it over the goalie. It's like, he could have ran on to it with the goalkeeper, but, you know, we said Tom Davis missed an absolute sitter at Bournemouth in the Cup at 0-0, or at 1, whatever it was, at 0-0 or 1-0, and, you know, if Tom Cannon had that chance, I'm sure he'd have scored. So, he may well be good enough, he may not be good enough. We don't know, but sometimes there's an opportunity to throw a lad on, have him in and involved, and like you said, it might last 4-6 weeks. The ball might drop to him 2 or 3 times in the box in that time, and he just puts it in the net, and it's like, here we go. I think Everton want to get him on loan. There's clubs sniffing around him. He probably needs to go on loan and carry on his development. But while we haven't got a replacement right now, and we haven't got an option, he's a big lad, you know, he looks around 6 foot. So therefore, you know, physically, he's probably stronger than what Maupay is, just by his physique. Not saying he's better than Neil Maupay. Neil Maupay's done it in the Premier League and done it in the Championship. But it just gives him an opportunity. Do we want to be relying on a 19-year-old unproven centre-forward? No, of course we don't. But right now, needs must. Needs must. And I think probably the biggest compliment you can give to him is Everton have been prepared to say to Rondon, yeah, you can go now, rather than just hang on for 2 weeks in that transfer window while we try and get someone in. Everton have gone, no, you can go, because we've got Tom Cannon here. And hopefully the lad will grab the opportunity, you know. If Dom's there or thereabouts fitness-wise, I'd be playing him against Wolves for an hour, trying to get 65 minutes out of him. And then it'd be probably Cannon and Maupay maybe that come on. Because I wouldn't be taking Dom to Man City. Because that's a game where, if you're trying to manage him, City away is probably a game you'd expect Everton. Isn't that sad, Tom? No, it's terrible. It's a terrible way to look at it. It's a terrible way to look at it. But what I'm saying is, if you're talking about managing, just until the window's open, we should be in a situation we don't have to manage our players. You know, where you shouldn't have to be terrified about that lad playing a few games. But right now, we're all going.
So, you're talking about being worried about a footballer doing his job.
Yeah. No, I know, but I'd be looking at it in the window going, we've got 2 games in a week, 3 games in a week, 2 of them are at home. And the home to Wolves and a home to Brighton. There's more chance of us getting points out of those 2 than this one here, which is Man City away. But Tom Cannon, certainly give the lad a go until we can get someone in, and then you can worry about his career then and go, right, let's get you on loan, playing every week and scoring goals for a Championship club or whatever, or a League One club. And that we'll know then from his developments as he really got it. But he could come in and score a couple of valuable goals for Everton in the next 2 or 3 weeks. But that's where we are. If you just look where the league form, the records so far, there we go. 15 games played, won 3, which is shocking. 5 draws and 7 defeats with a -6 goal difference. And the thing about that, the -6 goal difference is, they've let 17 goals in 15 games, which isn't terrible. It's not great. It's not terrible. It's not terrible, but because we can't score goals, that's why we're where we are. We, you know, 3 of those 11 goals we scored were in 1 game. And that tells you everything that you need to know, really. You know, I think the last 3 league games we haven't scored a goal in. You know, and that is where we're up to, and Everton's focus can't be anywhere else other than in the final third.
Do you think that as well? I mean, it's goals. We know we need goals, and we know we have to buy goals. You think as well? I mean, I think Frank Lampard has got to get this midfield sorted as well, because it's a strange one. listen, Iwobi's in the best form he's ever been in at Everton. I don't think Garner, again, is getting played right. I don't know if he's ever been played right at Everton. We watched him in the World Cup, he's just a completely different player. He's more dynamic, he's more on the front foot, he's more pressing forward, he's more around the box. We, once again, like we did the first time we had him, play him as a 6 when he's not a 6.
But if you play him the way we did against Palace, though, where Onana's next to him,
this is what I was going to say. Do we have to... I understand what Frank Lampard has been trying to do with Onana, almost projecting him as a number 8, number 10 because of the height, because of what he gives you. But do we have to sort of come away from that and say, if we want to move the team forward and not just put, band-aids over issues, that we have to put him as the 6, let him become a 6 properly, with Garner next to him, but also Garner then having more license to press, knowing that he's got Onana behind him. Onana will still make mistakes, but I'd rather he made mistakes in a position which is going to be his long-term position than making mistakes in a position where you look at him and go, you don't really know how to play in that position. Because I watch Onana, certainly in the Bournemouth game, doesn't know how to play in that position. Does not strike me as a fella who knows how to play in that position. He's your number 6. He's quite comfortable in that position. Does he have a tendency to overindulge on the ball and then sometimes, yes. But I think what we're seeing is we will see the edges be taken off, smoothed off. But what I don't want to see is new edges put into his game by playing in these different positions.
Well, I just think when you're looking at it from an actual blueprint for the team, the Palace one was the closest to one, and it was him alongside Garner, and it was a case of he was able to drop deep and take the ball. And then we seen his passing range, where I think when we saw him against Leicester and against Bournemouth, he was higher up the pitch. He was out the game.
Yeah,
he was out the game, and we were getting people running onto us, and then Garner's got 2 men on either side, or he's getting caught on the ball. And I think it also knocked Iwobi off his stride a bit. Iwobi was better just roaming against Palace, and really, so I hope the manager goes back and goes, look, this worked really well against Crystal Palace when we had you two just sat there, just sit there, let Iwobi hover, let the full-backs, because obviously Patterson's back now as well, which is a big thing for us. Patterson raid up and down, and let's do it that way and see where we go from there.
Listen, football managers will always have a reason for something. They don't just do something. Often, they would have moved Onana into a different position to stop the threat or something else. But like you just said there, certainly at home, if that's the best performance we have, and Palace was easily our best performance, do that again. Do that every week and see what the results are. Yeah, and then then at least get a body of evidence to say, this does work or this doesn't work. I think changing it every week, and it does come down to the personnel and who you've got available, and it does help if you have got, you have got your number 1 right back playing, and you've got, your wide men and they're in form, and you've got your number 1 centre forward. It's all pieces of a puzzle that you just don't want to keep removing one at a time. And I understand that it's difficult. It's not a great squad. It's not a very big squad. It's been decimated at times. Hopefully now we've got players coming back that can add something. I mean, oddly, we could have 5 centre-backs. When we play Man City, couldn't we? Although probably Yeremina have got injured by then. But, hopefully we'll have, a full squad for however long that lasts. But you can't look past the fact that January, not only do we need players, but I think the fans, like last year with the fullbacks, it's a case of, if you want to take the fans with you again like we did at the end of the season, you're going to have to, if you want to stop it from turning into anger, I personally think Everton fans have been very, very, very patient and accommodating with what happened from the back end of last season. I know people might disagree with me on that, but I think they massively have. I think for the most part, Frank Lampard still has, the goodwill and the good grace of a fan base who were willing to give him an opportunity. But But the problem with Everton is nothing ever comes in isolation. It's a package. People will easily look at Kevin Felwell or look at the board and go, how can you sit there as a manager and allow this to happen? Why aren't you, they never will, but why aren't you coming out and saying that these people aren't helping you or whatever? And Frank Lampard sort of hinted at that in the summer as we come into the season. He basically said, I'm not happy that I haven't got a centre forward yet. He didn't point the finger at anyone, but he did say it. And what tends to happen is when, as football fans, we demand honesty. You're never going to get it. The world doesn't work like that. So we will turn then on the manager and say, why aren't you having a go with him? He's the fella stopping you from buying people and stopping this team. Because the culture is that you'll get the sack. So why aren't you turning on that fella? And I know it's not a realistic thing that ever happens in football. Yeah. But fans will turn around and go, this fella is just looking after himself, isn't he? And that's the nature of football. It's the nature of football fans in this day and age, and maybe always. But so January's huge. It's absolutely huge now.
Huge for a lot of people at the football.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Well, you've got to do it. We've got to. At the end of the day, we've got to go and make these signings, and we should have. You know, my belief is they should have one ready to go. Really, should be revealed on Christmas Eve. Really.
See, you say that as a flippant remark. But the point being is that
imagine the momentum,
walking into the game on Boxing Day, knowing that you've already got a signing coming in for the new year,
changes the place.
Changes how things.
It isn't. Don't get me wrong. It isn't as easy to do. But if there was a possibility, then I think that would be a great way to really flip the thing and go, look, we are moving. Like you just said, people want to stay with it. And you should want to stay with the project, even though there is people who will rightly sit there and go, well, hang on, won 3 games in 15. Why aren't you Why aren't you angry? We are a bit angry, but we're also aware of where we are. But I think the club could get the momentum going.
I'm always angry.
The club could get the momentum going by going, look, this is happening and that's happening. And we've seen it before. We've done it a year ago with Michalenko. We knew that deal was already done. Well, let's hope that they can come up with something equally impressive. I mean, even if they can't do that, it has to be ready to go ASAP, because we can't be dragging 2 and 3 weeks into January.
Mentioned at the top of the show, we waited for, technically it was 4 games. The 5th game was Leeds.
No.
But we waited and we lost out, and the manager was clearly unhappy with that. He didn't say it, but he mentioned, he hinted, he didn't point fingers, but he did, give a little nod to the fact that he wasn't happy that 4 games into the season he didn't have a centre forward, and then 5 games into the season, or didn't even have a backup at that time, really. So obviously, clearly, he'd already made his mind up about Rondon. So that wasn't we knew that from the first couple of games when he's playing Anthony Gordon and Dwight McNeil as centre forward. We knew that was the signal. So I just think we can't piss about now. We can't mess about. There's just too much at stake. And I know there's a lot of people out there that go, there's only 15 games gone, and it'll be. We've seen that last season. This team.
It can't still be an all right season, but they have to. It's got to improve quickly, and without goals, it won't.
Goals, it won't. It just won't.
So, I mean, you can scrape by the next few games, but you can't scrape by 20 games. You can't. No. You just can't. So we have got to be ready to go. So fingers crossed coming into it. Let us know what you think in the comments section below. Are you terrified, or are you still hoping and keeping your faith that Everton will get 2 or 3 people in January? And it'll be difficult because it's a difficult market to work in, but we ain't got any goals in this squad, so it needs to be done very quickly. And can Tom Cannon be a short-term fix for Everton, as in the next few weeks?
Yeah.
Let us know what you think in the comment section. We'll give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want to become a Toffee TV Premier, the link is in the description. The QR code is on the screen. See you later.